Well, I'm broke again. I've got to figure out how to make enough dough to get a bottle of whiskey and some zero bars. Maybe I can sell something. I don't really have anything, but Buzz does. Now, what can I sell for a quick buck? I'll have to think about that.
Welcome to part 3 of this 1948 Crosley TV model 9-407.
Thanks.
And if you're new to my channel and want to know what it's all about, well, it's a channel where I don't bug people to smash that like button, and I don't beg people to subscribe. My channel's content is a labor of love. My only goal here is to bring you videos that entertain you and maybe throw in a few laughs, along with some fun.
Cool.
So let's get started, huh? I have here a Sencor model YF33. As you can see, this is a ringer, yoke, and flyback tester.
Huh?
And I bought this so I can test the flyback.
Okay.
Now this is the original flyback that's in the TV. And Brendan thought maybe it's bad.
Oh, Brendan.
So I don't know if it is or not. But if I already tested it, let me show you what I get on it. Now I'm just hooking it up to the two connections that go on the horizontal output tube and the high voltage rectifier tube. This is the primary and the center tap of the primary. So we should get a reading here. Now all these buttons are impedance matching. So you got to push one of these buttons to see if you get the best reading. And that should tell you if it's in the good or bad.
It makes sense.
Because every time you press one of these, it sends a series of pulses through the coil. I guess they call those rings. And it shows up here. Beneath the good and bad here, there's a scale here. The middle ground is 10 rings, which is the cutoff point for good or bad. And it goes up to like 60. So let me show you what this measures here. We'll try the first one here. As we can see, it's on 6, and so it should be on 10 if it's considered a good. So let's go to the second one. Okay, that registered a little bit more. That's almost 8. So if we keep going down here, that's less, until we get nothing here. So if I hook up, since this is the center tap, I'm going to hook this up to the full length of the primary, which is right here, and we'll just test that. Start on the first one here. See, that's basically right on the edge. It's about 9.5. If we go to the second one, it's about the same. Maybe that's a little bit more, so that's probably about 10. The third one's lower, fourth. So the second one here is what we should be looking at. But when I first got this, it was testing way in the bad here. There's a sensitivity adjustment here. And I just tweaked it up a little bit, so I was able to get more out of it. Now I don't know if this thing's calibrated. It's old equipment. This is made in 1970. The caps in there could be old. The transistors in there could be old. Is that good? I don't know. So, I ordered another flyback.
Oh my God.
There it is.
It's so cute.
I got this from the Early TV Museum. But this looks brand new, but it's no good.
Oh, good Lord!
It's open between these 2 points. Just like this one I just tested. There's an open in there. It tests okay from the full range of the coil. From here to here, we get a reading. But since it's no good from here to here, can't use it. but old Buzz has been busy. I found a place in Pennsylvania called Moyer Electronics, and I told him the original Crosley part number, and he found this.
Good Lord.
Now this is made by RAM Electronics, and this is like a universal type flyback. This will work on many models. And originally, when I tested this with a sensitivity lower, it was right on the edge here towards the bad.
What?
So let's just test it again here.
Oh no, not again.
Start on the first one here. It's on the good, right on the edge there. The second button, a little lower, and so forth.
What's it all about? Why don't you illuminate me?
So this is the best reading. Now if we go to the full length of the coil on pin 1 here, let's try this. It's right on the edge again. So what's this telling me?
It's a hunk of junk. It's junk.
Well, that's a good question. It's telling me that this tests a little bit better than this, but it's kind of suspicious that this thing is testing them right on the edge there. I suspect maybe this is not working right. But since we already tested the TV with this in here, and since the one from the museum is bad, and I've got this, I talked this over with Brendan, and I agree with him. He says, since you got it, let's stick it in and test it.
You've got the brain of a 4-year-old boy, and I bet he was glad to get rid of it.
So consider this an experimenting with Buzz segment coming up as we hook this up and see what we get. It could smoke, it could blow up, maybe it'll work. But until we do, we won't know. And with all this equipment and these parts, I don't know which is good or which is bad. So I've got to do something. So I'm going to do it.
Hell yeah.
Okay, we're ready to power it up. I've got this jury rigged in here. It doesn't fit like the other one. So I'm going to concentrate on here and just bring up the power slowly and see if we see any smoke or anything here. Let's just get it on here.
Let's boogie.
Box is hot. Variac is hot. Let's go.
Let's go.
Picking up some B+.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Wish I had a wide angle camera, then I could get everything in one shot, but kind of limited here.
Come on, you. Cough up a bucket, cheap bastard.
I just wanted to focus on this, just in case this thing starts to smoke.
I don't know what your scheme is, but it sounds crazy to me.
We're on 60 volts. AC going in. Let's keep going. $90 volts. I'm picking up some high voltage here. Got about 4,000 volts DC, just like originally. But we're only at 90 volts. 100. What about 110? Okay, watch this. I'm going to touch this on the high voltage rectifier.
You know as much about electricity as I do. Nothing.
It's about 4,000 volts. You can hear it squeal. So that's more than I was getting before. That's what I'm getting on the screen. Basically the same as I got when we left off on part 2. So what does that tell us?
You're big and you're ugly and you're stupid.
It looks like the flyback is okay because it's doing the same thing.
All right, but I hope we aren't making a mistake.
I'm going to play around with the ion trap.
This is risky business.
Oh boy. Well, maybe it's wired wrong. Back to the drawing board.
You dumb cluck.
Okay, I'm going to run a test here. This is the output tube, and it's got this 100 ohm resistor here. I'm going to disconnect one end, hook up my meter, and test the cathode current to see what it is. The specs on that new flyback say it should not exceed 100 millivolts. So I'm going to unsolder this, hook up the meter, and power it up, and we'll see what it is. Okay, I got it unsoldered and hooked up to the meter. So let's power it up. So let's just go right up to 115, 120. That's 30, 60, 90, 100. Well, 117, 120. Let's see how much we get here. It should be around 100 if it's working right. That's looking pretty good. Now if I move the pot on the horizontal drive, it should either go up or down here. The pot's up here. So that increases it to like 109. If I go all the way down, it's about 100. So that's looking good here. Brendan wanted me to do a few other tests, look at some signals. So let's do that. There's a few shots of me looking at the signals from the horizontal output tube. This is a shot of the sawtooth signal. Now I really wasn't in the mood to film any of this. These shots were sent to Brendan to try to see if everything was working okay. There I am counting the divisions to try to figure out if the frequency was okay. And it was a little high, so we adjusted it so it was right on, but none of that fixed the problem.
Oh, brother!
It's been a week since we last tested this. We ran all those tests on this universal type flyback, and it didn't work. So Brendan still thinks it's a flyback problem. So we're going to put this, I guess, in the bad pile. I'm not sure exactly what's wrong with it, if anything at all. Now this flyback was the RCA type 211T1. That's the exact clone of the one that's in there. But like I said, it had an open primary winding here. And after this didn't work, I started to play with this, and I melted some of the wax off here, and I was able to get a connection. There was a break right beneath the wax here. So trying to scrape that off, I managed to create a couple of breaks in here.
You dumb cluck.
So I may be able to salvage this, but I would have to take all that wax off. And there's no guarantee of that. And it would probably be a mess trying to do that.
You dumb cluck.
So, that's two flybacks in the bad pile.
Oh, brother.
So last week, I went on the Antique Radio Forum.
Good.
And there was a guy named Kevin there who had one of these. This is a Merit flyback, and this is the same type, physically, as the RCA. So let's open the box, see what this looks like. Looks like there's something in here.
Just a stupid love letter.
This is a Merit HV0-3. And I recognize this. This is exactly the same flyback as what I've got. There it is. Compare it to the RCA.
Oh my God, is it twins?
So this is my last hope here. If this doesn't work, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to crawl into a corner and cry. I don't know what else it could be.
You dumb cluck.
I spent a few days and traced out all these wires here. This is the vertical and the horizontal section. And I didn't find one error in here. Now I was going to do these here, but this section is the sound. This section is the video IF, stuff like that, so I don't think that's going to affect the high voltage. there would be something in this area here. I even checked these vertical and horizontal coils on the deflection yoke, and those tested good, although the vertical one failed on this thing. So I don't know if this is any good. Like we showed before, who knows if it's any good. But we're going to test it with this.
I'm so excited.
Now I put the sensitivity back to normal. So I want to see how this tests. Just like that. So I'm going to hook this up to the high voltage connection and to pin 1 over here, which is the full length of the primary. A little bit nervous here, folks.
Poor baby.
Just hit one of these buttons one by one, and hopefully this will go into the good.
But you've no faith. You must have faith.
I'm going to pray it does. Whew. It's in the good at 10 cycles or 10 rings. Let's try the second one. Okay, it's lower. So the first one tests good, which is good. Let's go to the high voltage rectifier connector to the horizontal tube connector. See what we get. Okay, it barely made it to the good. So this thing, who knows? Since I'm working on a TV, I thought we'd take a look at my 1948 Hallicrafter set that I restored a few years back. You know, way back in the late 60s, there was a group that I really liked. Long before their disco years, they put out a lot of songs that were really good. Here they are in 1963, as kids, long before they were famous. Here are the Bee Gees. Okay,
What are we waiting for? Let's do it.
let's just do it here. 30 volts. 60 volts. 90 volts. 100 volts. 110. Whoa. Is that something on the screen? Hey!
Oh, would you look at that?
Let me just turn the light off and we'll take a look at that. Well, that's different.
You gotta do better than that.
Let me check the high voltage. It's only registering 4,000. Maybe this stupid thing's bad.
Could be.
I'm just going to clean this screen before I power this up.
Ah, it's so good, eh?
Ah, it's better, huh? Okay. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to power it up. I've got the VCR hooked up to it. I'm going to put it on Monster Go Home VHS tape. And I'm going to feed that through the RF and see if we get anything. Hit the play on here. Let's just power it up here. 30 volts. 60 volts. 90 volts. 100 volts. 110. About 115.
Can you see anything?
Got the volume.
I can't take it anymore!
I'm going to play around with the ion trap.
Wait a minute. I think I see it.
See how that makes it brighter and dimmer?
Oh, yeah, I can see it now.
You want to adjust it so it's the brightest?
Don't sit too close to the TV. It'll hurt your eyes.
I want to adjust one of the pots in the back here.
I object to all this sex on the television. I mean, I keep falling off.
Don't you ruin your eyes sitting that close.
I'm going to turn it around and we'll get a head-on view of it. It's looking pretty good now.
There it is. I can see it.
In a beautiful display of riding skill, Lord Munster is the winner.
Now that contrast looks a lot better on your screen there than it does in person. But this screen looks a lot better with all the lights off.
A wonderful.
Let me try to test the high voltage here. It's about 4.5 to 5,000 according to this. It's got to be more than that. Look how bright that is. I think this probe is bad. I probably had this fixed at the end of part 2 there, and I didn't know it. If I would have played around with that ion trap, it would have came up.
You dumb cluck.
Instead I bought these flybacks, did all this testing, and probably didn't even need it. That just comes with inexperience. That won't happen again.
Want to bet?
Good work, Mac.
I'm proud of you.
Not half bad.
It's not good either.
I'm pleased with it.
Me too.
Well, that concludes today's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. There was a lot of work put into this. A lot of wasted time. But as long as we learn something, I guess it doesn't matter. Good night, everybody. This is Buzz 1151.
Jolly good show, Major.
Ladies and gentlemen, step right up and get your very own Buzz 1151 flyback. Personally tested by Buzz himself. Only 20 bucks each. Don't rush, don't crowd. There's plenty for everybody. Buzz bought plenty, so come and get it. 20 bucks. Get your own flyback. Personally tested by Buzz 1151. Ladies and gentlemen.